Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the Australian Online Supercar Championship, coming to you for round 7 tonight at Summit Point for the Summit Point 6060. Your commentary team tonight is myself, Bernie Weemers, and once again in the combox is Daniel Leet. Welcome, Daniel.
Yeah, good evening, Bernie. Good evening to all the viewers out there tonight. Looking like a pretty nice little fun track, this one, 6060. Nice short circuit in Summit Point. I think we're going to have a very good racing series on our hands tonight.
Yeah, we certainly are, and of course, looking at the layout of the meeting tonight, let's bring that up and we'll go through the overview so the viewers can see exactly what we'll be doing tonight. So, 6060 is 2 heats of 60 kilometres in length, and each heat is 18 laps in total. Incident limit tonight 15 per race. I think they get 1 fast repair. And what about the safety car, Daniel?
Yeah, no safety car, but as you mentioned, 1 quick repair. So the guys aren't expected to pit for this. They'll just load up on fuel, go hammer and tongs for the entire race. But if we do need it, the guys have the option to come in and take that quick repair.
Yeah, so we'll see how that shapes up. Of course, tonight we've got a fairly small field as far as sprint races go in the AOSC. We've got 37 cars out there at the moment qualifying, and that's what they're doing at the moment. We've got 13 minutes of qualifying left, but Marlon McMullen is actually second fastest at the moment. He's just starting to set another hot lap.
Yeah, generally it's a bit smaller field to what we've normally seen for these events. I know previously we've had upwards of 60 doing these events, which is massive and quite hard to cover, but 30 is a pretty nice number. I think there'll be really good battles all around this circuit as well.
Yeah, I think there'll be excellent battles around here. Maybe the circuit's turned some people off, but I think this circuit's quite well suited for the V8 supercar, but then again, I don't drive it, so I'm only sort of guessing there.
Yeah, look, it is a bit different to what the guys are traditionally used to with, the likes of Phillip Island or Bathurst or any of our more traditional layouts that we tend to go to. But it gives them a good challenge. Breaking into turn 1 is going to be extremely important, and we could even see a pretty decent wreck if there is. I dare say we get a safety car just to let everyone get back into it. But there's a few tricky sections where the guys are going to have to be real careful. Off throttle, you're a little bit on the negative camber, trying to tuck back into some of the corners, which could make it a bit more exciting as well.
Yeah, it certainly will make it exciting up the inner part there, where it gets very tight and twisty. But let's have a look at what these guys are basically racing for. So we're looking at the non-endurance championship tonight as far as points go, and at the moment Marlon McMullen's leading that on 2,340 points. Only 45 points behind him is Dane Warren though, so Dane closing in very quickly, and then Brian Borg sitting in third. He's 560 points below Dane Warren, so tell you what, if I was Marlon, I'd be probably getting a little bit nervous, considering this is the final sprint round of the AOSC.
Yeah, definitely, and these two guys are very close up as far as even qualifying is concerned tonight. We got Dane Warren currently first, Marlon second, so a bit of a role reversal, but these guys are fighting pretty hard for the end of this championship. And as you mentioned, last sprint round tonight, we've got 1 more endurance to wrap out the series next week, at Bathurst. There's not much time left for these guys to get those points and take the title.
Well, exactly right, and so the non-endurance championship, of course, it's all up for grabs tonight. It'll be decided tonight as far as that championship goes. Looking at the overall driver championship though, we'll have a quick look at that. And at the moment, Marlon McMullen's leading that quite convincingly. 3,336 points. He's 205 points ahead of Dane, and Brian Borg is another 593 points behind Dane Warren there. So, of course, the overall driver standings, that includes the Enduros plus the sprint rounds, and that's why there's such a large discrepancy in the points.
Yeah, definitely. And we didn't mention it before, but also in the non-endurance standings, we have got Brian Borg still in third as well. So the top three in the non-endurance are also the same three that we've got in our overall. And I've seen Brian here tonight. He hasn't set a lap in qualifying, but he did have a pretty competitive car from what we saw in practice earlier. So if he is still running, I mean, look for him to make his way up through the field, and we might get a pretty interesting fight, especially towards the back of race 1 and maybe even race 2 as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be a very exciting fight tonight. If it's anything like last Wednesday, we saw the Wankel Australian-New Zealand Championship come to an end for that season, and I tell you what, it came down at the end to 2 points. That was the difference after the whole season, and I won't spoil it for you folks, but I'm going to anyway. It came down to that last corner, would you believe, Daniel, to decide who was going to take that championship.
It seems to be the way it happens now. I mean, obviously, for everyone who watches the regular V8 series on Fox and that, we had a great finish to the real life V8 season last week, and it's good to see it happening the same in the sim racing world as well.
Yeah, well, it was very similar in the Wankels, I tell you, because they had the FSR boys, as they always do, hunting in packs, trying to hunt down one Gary Hamilton, and it was on. I tell you, it was good racing, and it had us on the edge of our seats. But of course, hopefully we're going to have the same thing tonight in the Australian Online Supercar Championship, especially for the deciding round of the sprint series. But I guess before we get too far into it, we should really cross over to Nick Hausler, and he can take us through the lukewarm lap.
Welcome on board for the second last time this season for the penultimate round of AOSC Season 3. For tonight's 60-60 at Summit Point, a 10-turn 3.2 kilometre track, which is pretty bumpy, as you can just see as the car exits turn 1 there. You've got to watch that inside curve too, by the way. So you probably want a bit of a soft setup as you head around here. This nice fourth gear left-hander, you can run it wide, maybe not that wide, still don't get an off-track for that. You can run it fairly wide on exit there. When you shoot down the hill, this very tricky braking here, this second gear left-hander, you can see the car squirreling a bit under brakes. You're not usually quite in a straight line for braking there, which can cause a bit of drama. So as we come through this sequence of left-right, and into in second gear, come out in third, down the short chute down the back, and the fourth gear final turn, just clip the apex there and you can run it right out to the edge there to get a good run onto the front straight. As we head down into turn 1, you don't need to drift over to the right there, but anyway, braking just halfway between the two first set of cones. Try to get the nose pointed in. You can run a high line round turn 1 fairly successfully. You can see the car bouncing around as we head into turn 3. Let's see if we can get that right. That's a pretty good exit as you come out of there. Over the crest into 4, down a gear, fourth gear, get it into second. Pretty straight line braking there, so the car pulled up nicely. Just cruise around here in second and change up to third as we come around into about turn 7. And keep it in third. Don't know, not concentrating there, up to fourth a bit too early, but no dramas. The torque will pull us through as we now head into turn 10. And run it out nice and wide again, just slightly missed the apex though, but come across the line in 1 minute 11, so no doubt a second to a second and a half off the pace, so expect around 8.5s tonight would be my guess. And thanks for watching, and now it's back to Bernie and the crew at RRTV.
So there you go, folks. That was a lukewarm lap with Nick Hausler, and as always, Daniel, he made it look fairly easy.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Obviously, Nick can't be here tonight to have a run, but he does a good effort in the lukewarm lap for us, doesn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does, and he actually missed a gear tonight, and it was quite funny because he said, I missed a gear, but the torque will carry us through. He short-shifted, and I thought, well, hopefully the torque will carry us through tonight as well.
Well, we can only hope. It's nice and short. Hopefully we should get there without too much drama, but yeah, look, we'll see how we hold together, mate.
Yeah, so we're getting down to the last 4 minutes of qualifying at the moment. If we have a look at the top 10 in qualifying, and Dane Warren, he sits on provisional pole with a 108.629. Marlon McMullen 0.2 of a second behind him in second. Then we've got Daniel Williams 109.102 in third. Danny Trim sits in fourth. Fifth, Craig Jones, and we've got Thomas McMillan in sixth. Provisionally seventh at the moment is Thomas Hinds. Gary Cooper in eighth. Jacob Knight ninth, and Paul Preston rounds out our top 10 with 3.5 minutes of quali to go.
Yeah, not a bad spread of cars tonight. We're only looking at 0.8 of a second between first to 10th, so it's going to be a very tight little circuit, and the qualifying times, as Nick alluded to in the lukewarm lap, are pretty much on par with what he suggested, around a 108.5. So conditions look to be pretty good for the guys. Hopefully the racing is just as good as well.
Yeah, we can see Daniel Trim on the circuit at the moment in the WP concreting entry. Currently fourth. He's on a hot lap now as he comes through. I think it's about turn 4 there, and through that sweeper. And we'll see what sort of a time he can pull out tonight. See if he can improve. Of course, his target a 108.629. His best time though is a 109.241. So he's going to have to improve quite a bit.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting section of the circuit here. There's going to be a lot of dirt going to be brought up throughout the course of this race, so it's going to be one thing for these guys to contend with, but you can just see how tight and technical some of these little bits are, where they really need to be careful on this throttle and look to not lock up a brake and get through it very comfortably. But a lot of this circuit, especially in the back half, is only single line, so look for some pretty interesting overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting when they get into those single lines, but Danny just went through. He did not improve his time. He did a 109.397, so 2/10 slower than his best time. Marlon McMullen was out there having a run, but he's back in the pit, so I'd say he's done. We've got Thomas McMillan out here at the moment, Daniel, and he's sitting in 6th and on another fast lap.
Doing pretty good, I think. I'm not sure. That looks like a new livery on that car tonight, which the blue and the white looks pretty sharp out there.
Yeah, it is a new livery, that one, the Case Centric, and we normally see that in orange, don't we? Just trying to get our cameraman to zoom in. That's a bit of a better shot. So yeah, unmetered services on that car. They normally run the Case Centric, I think, is one of their other sponsors.
Yeah, I believe so, but no, doing a good job. He's not too far off the times overall. It's like, what are we, 0.7 of a second, and didn't get an improvement last time by, so maybe just building those tyre pressures up, maybe might see a bit of a better lap this time by.
Yeah, possibly. 1 minute 13 to go. It seems pretty stagnant this late in the qualifying, doesn't it? But I guess they've been out there now for 19 minutes, so you'd expect if they're going to improve, they would have done it by now.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of guys are probably now just looking to get into the race mind and set the car up for the fuel and the tyres that they're going to need to get them home. But as we said, a lot of guys now seem to have called it quits.
Yeah, I'd say I think you're right there. I think they're now just tuning the cars for the sprint race. And I guess, going for an 18-lap sprint compared to quali, there wouldn't be that much of an adjustment compared to an enduro round, but all the same, they'd want to be confident with what they've got when they take to the start line in the next 22 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. And they're all now going to start preparing to how they're going to get through turn one, and 30-odd cars coming into turn one. And as Nick said, you can take a wide line and get through. There's a lot of guys to have to make that tight right-hander, though.
Yeah, well, that's going to be the trick, isn't it? That first corner into that tight right-hand hairpin. That's going to be something they're definitely going to have to be careful of on the first lap.
Yeah, definitely. And they get a good start, maybe stay out of the points, or out of the issues, sorry. They might actually get a few extra points into the awesome prize that Pagnum have put up, which we'll quickly cover before we get to the grid, of a F1 GT Formula 1 style rig. So thanks to Pagnum for putting that up, and all these guys are definitely working hard to get that, and we'll come back and touch on this a little later on, obviously, in the broadcast as well.
Yeah, definitely. We've got it up on the screen at the moment. This is really their last chance to get points towards getting entry points towards this rig, because of course after tonight those entries, or the top 5 entries, will be delivered to Pagnum. Pagnum's then going to ask the top however many to provide a 25-word summary, and then of course in a fortnight, folks, for the final Enduro at Bathurst, we'll be announcing the lucky winner of this fantastic prize.
Yeah, so definitely got a lot to still play for, but that'll be in the back of the minds for a lot of guys, I'm sure, tonight.
Yeah, definitely. So let's have a look at the grid as Quali's finishing. So Dane Warren, he'll start from pole position tonight, and he's done everything he needs to do as far as qualifying goes and taking pole, but he's got to keep an eye on Marlon McMullen starting next to him. Daniel Williams, he'll start in the second row from third. He's got Daniel Trim beside him in fourth. Starting out of the third row, we have Thomas Hinds and Craig Jones. Starting out of 7th, Thomas McMillan. Then we've got Gary Cooper out of 8th. Jacob Knight, he'll start out of 9th tonight. Paul Preston 10th. 11th is Kyle Stokes, and your top 12 is Henry King.
Starting in 13th tonight, we have Sean Thompson, followed by Michael Ford out of 14th. David Kidmon has qualified in 15th tonight, and will be joined alongside him by Darryl Hockey. Jaden Borg just behind in the Stell Sim Sports entry out of 17th tonight, followed by James Scott. David Miller will be starting from 19th, followed by Tony Gaffer in 20th.
Yeah, the 21st is Mark Samuel. Then we have Nathan Tregarthen starting in 22nd. 23rd, Braden Bateman. Then Brodie Whitmore. He'll start out of 24th. Out of 25th tonight is Jordan McDonald. Then we've got Matthew Clowett out of 26th. Daniel Vassell, he'll start out of 27th tonight. And Paul Tajavara will start in 28th. Out of 29th is Wayne Taylor. And Matt, well, I'm not pronouncing his surname, out of 30th.
We'll go with Lapoitavin for that one, or Poiter. Jamie McKnight will be out of 31st tonight, followed by Stephen Varga in 32nd. And the guys who didn't set a time in qualifying tonight, we had Brian Borg, Shannon Mason, Brett Shelby Woods, Chris Robinson, Nathan Connor, Mark Turner, and Corey Fuster.
We can see the guys now lining up on the start-finish line. We can see there, of course, Dane Warren in the Rack Corp entry on the inside. He's going to hold that, no doubt, but he's going to have to keep an eye on Marlon McMullen in the WP Concreting Commodore on his outside. We're still waiting for Daniel Trim, Mark Turner, Chris Robinson, Corey Fuster, Nathan Connor and Brett Selby Wood to join the grid. They have now, so we're going racing here very shortly.
Green, green, green.
Okay, so we're underway here for round 17 of the Australian Online Supercar Championship. You can see Dane Warren, an excellent start there. Mullen tucks in behind him just to defend. And of course, they don't want to do anything silly, but they're going to be keeping an eye on the mirrors as they come through this first hairpin.
Yeah, and just watching all the way down the back, looks like everyone's got through reasonably cleanly. There was some good three-wide action into turn one as well.
Yeah, there certainly was, and it looks like a fairly clean start. We do have a blue Falcon off. Not sure who that was, but he's rejoined. Also, one of the Redback Racing retro liveries has also gone off. That's David Miller, and he's rejoining. One of the Zuva entries in the back has spun. Also, a Next Level Racing entry has also spun. So a bit of action there, but at the moment, Dane Warren is leading Marlon McMullen. And I reckon with this race, Marlon's not going to do anything silly. All he really needs to do is probably shadow Dane and just sort of manage this gap, but it is only 45 points.
Yeah, definitely. He's doing everything he needs to do. If he sits in second, he's pretty comfortable. And we mentioned earlier there were a couple of guys who did have some issues. So we had Nathan Tregarthen off in the next level racing car. Henry King in the Zuva entry was off as well. And I didn't quite get the name of the gentleman in the Redback entry, but it looks like they've been able to all rejoin, obviously a little further down, but are getting back into it now.
Yeah, that was the 149. David Miller went off on that sweeper. He just ran wide into the sand pit and continued on, but it's still not the sort of start you'd probably want, but it's better than running into a tyre bundle.
Well, definitely, and I mean they've still got another race to come back and put another good foot forward, so just see how they go. But Marlon McMullen at the moment doing a really good job to hold on the back of Dane Warren, is really starting to put on some pressure as well.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, isn't he? We can see him now, and we're actually riding with him. We'll bring up the telemetry here, and you can just see him working that wheel. And of course, Summit Point, it's a very busy track for a V8 supercar driver. They really only get one rest, don't they? And that's up the main straight they're on now.
Yeah, definitely. Most of this circuit, as you mentioned, they are in the corners, so this is really the only sort of chance to have a bit of a breather and look at your line. But these two are really starting to open a bit of a gap up now over Daniel Williams, who's in third, who's kind of in a bit of no man's land. He's got a nice little gap here over Daniel Williams Daniel Trim in fourth, and Craig Jones is behind him.
Yeah, we're just seeing the field come through, and I tell you what, the field is extremely strung out. We can see now the two Redback boys, David Miller, Stephen Varga, are going at each other too wide into turn one, and you can't split them. They're racing the same livery.
Yeah, doing a good job, and good to see them not really, giving each other enough room to still get through without any major issues as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And meanwhile, up front though, these two are clearing out. If we bring up the top 10 standings, folks, you can see exactly what's going on here. Dane Warren, Marlon McMullen have cleared out on Daniel Williams. The gap last time by, first lap, 1.5 seconds. Craig Jones sitting in fourth. Danny Trim, he's sitting in fifth position at the moment, and he's at the front of this huge train. And in that train we've got Thomas McMillan, Thomas Hinds, Paul Preston, Jacob Knight, Sean Thompson rounds out our top 10, and that train continues.
Yeah, it's a good little train that we got back coming up here as well. Craig Jones doing a great job just to get past Daniel Trim last time by, and looks to be starting to walk away a little bit from this group. But like you said, we got a good 10 or half dozen to 10 cars sitting here now that are going to start battling pretty hard soon.
Yeah, well, of course, they've only got 15 laps left to do it, and I must say the race so far, touch wood, has been pretty tame as far as 60-60 races go, but I'm sure the guys out there probably wouldn't agree with me. As we can see now, Thomas Hinds, he's having a look on the outside of Thomas McMillan, and Thomas McMillan holds him out, but Thomas looks like he's sporting a new livery.
Yeah, normally we see Thomas Hinds in the Edge concept car. It looks like he's got a bit of a change of livery to the GTI in the white tonight. So looks like a pretty sharp little car there, and probably want to do very good in that new livery.
Yeah, we can see just ahead now, Danny Trim's having a look at Craig Jones. Of course, Craig's going defensive here on the inside, and there's no way that Danny's going to pull this off on the outside as he locks the brake, runs a bit wide, and now all of a sudden he's got Thomas McMillan, Thomas Hinds breathing down his neck.
Yeah, definitely. Craig did a good job there, just sort of kept it on the inside, let him out-brake himself, and that was all it took for him to get back up the inside again.
Yeah, we can see from the bumper cam here, Thomas McMillan and Thomas Hinds continue shadowing him as they close in under brakes here, and it's very exciting. But let's have a look at what's happening up front. Jump to the bumper cam with Dane Warren, and I'll tell you what, he's starting to get a gap, and once he gets that gap, people, they can't really pull him in, can they? If anyone can, it's Marlon, and of course he's going with him, but the rest of the field, that gap last time by, 3.3 seconds back to Daniel Williams.
Yeah, I think Marlon might I mean, it sounds a bit silly. He's probably saving the tyres and the equipment a little bit towards the end of this this run, but these two really seem to be the class act of the field tonight. They're comfortably ahead of Daniel Williams and Craig Jones and that behind them, so doing everything they need to. Obviously these two are fighting for the championship pretty hard, so they're not going to want to take each other out, but at the same time they're going to want to get as much as they can in the way of points.
Yeah, and if there's anything they'll probably be quite relieved about is it's only those two out the front. So there's no spoilers in amongst that battle at the moment, so they can take it to each other without anyone coming in and trying to rain on their parade.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm just looking a little further down. It looks like our third place contender in the championship, Brian Borg, actually hasn't made the start for this event either.
Yeah, so we'll have a look at how that's going to affect his run, but it definitely frees up the other two. The question is having a look at who can actually challenge that third position.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's probably pretty safe if he is able to make it back for the second race, but yeah, it's points that are kind of gone a bit begging. But just going back to some good little battles here, we've still got this fight with Daniel Trim and Thomas McMullen going on. Looks like Craig Jones has now been able to sort of clear away from this battle, but Thomas Innes is still pressing quite hard, same with Paul Preston just behind them as well.
Yeah, all three of these guys in this battle pack, probably four, they're all hard chargers, aren't they? Very talented drivers. As we're riding now on the roof cam of Thomas Innes, you can just see the dust being thrown up from Thomas McMillan and a few rocks here and there.
Yeah, definitely. But all in all, I think so far, like you said, racing is very good tonight. Everyone's giving a lot of room, but there's some really good, thorough battles starting to heat up now.
Yeah, there certainly are. As we're riding with Thomas here, we'll have a look at the drivers in trouble out there. We've had our first retirement. Wayne Taylor retired pretty much on the first lap in the number 69. The cars that did not take to the grid, as we see Danny Trim getting it all crossed up there, and he loses 2 positions, if not 3. The other cars that did not start tonight, Brian Borg in the 017, we were mentioning he wasn't out there, he did not take the grid, neither did Mark Turner, Chris Robinson, Corey Fuster, Nathan Connor, Brett Selby Wood or Jamie McKnight. So we're down to 30 runners here.
Yeah, but the 30 that we've got on are putting up a good little fight for us all at the moment. I'm just watching some of the guys who got into a little bit of trouble earlier on, the likes of Nathan Tregarthen, he was off turn 1, Dave Miller. These guys are starting to come back now a little bit. They're in 25th, 26th. We've still got Tony Gaffers making his way up. Daryl Hawkins coming back after his spin earlier on. Who else we have? We had Matt Lapoitovan was in a bit of trouble, I believe. Paul Tajvara. These guys are all starting to make their way up. Same with Henry King as well out of 21st. So some of the guys, they are a long way off on the pace, but now they've got a bit of room. They can probably get that lap time up a bit further and maybe compress these gaps a bit more.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do, but of course, in these 60-60 races, 18 laps around Summit Point, generally, if you make a mistake, it's game over. But I'll tell you what, have a look at Marlon McMullen now. He's having a look on the inside of Dane Warren. He's decided he's got the pace. He wants to go for the lead here, and he's starting to pour that pressure on.
Yeah, he's really closed that gap up. It's under 0.3 of a second now, and a little bit squirrely out of the last corner there, but he's really starting to come on strong as maybe these tyres have got up to where he wanted them now.
Yeah, you can just see him working that wheel, and as we were saying, Summit Point, very busy track for any driver, but in a V8 Supercar, extra busy here. So we see him going up, short shifting to 3rd, short shifting to 4th, and now he's going to use the torque to pull him down towards the final corner here, up to 5th. I'll tell you what, he's hitting 226 at that point of the track.
Yeah, so the cars are still quick, even for this short circuit. The guys are able to get a good lot of speed out of them. And as you mentioned, he's short shifting to keep that wheel spin down, and that's probably going to be the biggest killer later on in the series, depending on how they got their tyre cameras set. What life do they continue to have at the end of the race?
Yeah, well, they're halfway already, would you believe, of this first heat, and the gap is massive back to Daniel Williams at the moment. He's just not keeping with them well. No one's keeping with these two. If we bring up the standings, the gap is 6 seconds between Marlon back to Daniel Williams, and then another 3.2 seconds back to Craig Jones, 2.3 seconds at Thomas McMillan, and then that's when the gravy train starts with Thomas Hinds, Paul Preston, Daniel Trim, Sean Thompson's in there as well in 9th, and one of the newcomers to the series is Jacob Knight.
Yeah, and we're probably going to have a few more cars actually join the back of this train soon too. You've got Michael Ford just behind him. Then we go to James Scott, Kyle Stokes, Brodie Whitmore. This train could end up being 15 cars long in the next couple of laps if we're not careful.
Yeah, well, it's definitely got the makings of it, hasn't it? You can see Paul Preston on screen at the moment in the PRA GT entry there, and right behind him is Danny Trim, who's trying to recover from that almost spin he had a lap ago. Sean Thompson, though, don't discount him. He's an exciting driver, and he's got onto the back of this gravy train, and you know, in the Waxit entry, and he's carrying a bit of damage, but it's not slowing him down any.
No, not at all. And he's actually done. He's moved up a fair way since the start of this race as well. He left the grid in 13th. He's up to 9th, so 4 spots. My maths is right, which I think it is. He's on the way up. He's doing well.
Yeah, he definitely is, and he's looking pretty racy there. And of course now up front, Dane's just keeping that gap on Marlon. Marlon did get close, but now Dane's putting the foot down again and just trying to get a comfortable gap so he can try and manage the rest of this race.
Yeah, definitely. But this gap will ebb and flow. You miss a brake marker just by a touch, where you run a smidgen wide, and that gap will close. And we've seen it. You know, it got out to just about, I think it was 1.2 seconds earlier, dropped down to just under 0.3, and it's starting to come back a little now. But the guys are going to have to be pretty well on the money to make sure they hit their brake markers, get it turned in where they want, and try and either hold that gap or extend.
Yeah, and it's quite a. It's turning out to be a bit of a challenge for a few of them. Since last time we looked at the driver in trouble board, we've had another 2 retirements. We've just lost Matthew Clough in the number 4 and Daryl Hockey in the 006 entry have both retired. So we're down to 28 runners.
Yeah, starting to lose a few. I think maybe now with obviously the compression in some of these battles, they're getting a little bit elbows out and a few issues, but just having a quick look all the way through the list, if we have a look at probably biggest mover and shaker so far would be Brodie Whitmore, started 24th up to 13th, and in a really good tussle here at the moment with James Scott just in front of him in the All-Star Motorsports entry.
Just trying to find them because we're having a look at this battle with Daniel Trim. So yeah, here we go. Brodie Whitmore back 12th and 13th. These guys are having a good battle as well. All-Star Motorsport versus Middle Finger Racing by the looks of it.
Yeah, it looks actually, I think it's a WPS car. So who is that? That's one of Daniel Trim's cars as well, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Performance Sim Sport, sorry.
There they are. So yeah, so a couple of guys in some really good battles, and you know, as you mentioned, you know, Daniel Trim's in another cracking battle there with Sean Thompson. So wherever you look, there's a battle going on for everyone, isn't there?
Yeah, well, that's a good thing, isn't it? But Whitmore's carrying a lot of front end damage on that car, but as we've said repeatedly all season, it doesn't slow them up any. In fact, he showed the nose on the sweeper in there, and I'll tell you what, if he had tried to make a pass there, it would have been a very adventurous pass indeed.
Well, yeah, definitely, and as you said, you know, it's the size and compactness of this circuit. The damage doesn't really mean anything. I mean, we know the iracing physics are maybe a little balked, and you can get away with no rear wings or anything and be just as quick as the guys that have a pristine-looking car. But yeah, a little bit of damage is not going to hurt you one way around this circuit.
No, exactly right. And you can see as they come through now, 5 laps remaining here, folks. But at the moment up front, Dane Warren, Mullen continue to battle this out, and I'd say at the moment Marlon would be pretty happy. All he's really got to do is shadow Dane. Now that gap of 45 will come down, but I wouldn't imagine it would come down by a lot if they finish in the order they are here tonight.
No, I think it will stay pretty stagnant. One battle that could be interesting towards the end of this race, just looking at the times and how they're shaping up, could be for third with Daniel Williams and Craig Jones. There's about 1.7 seconds between these two guys at the moment, but Craig's really starting to range up on the back of Daniel at the moment.
Yeah, well, the last time by, he beat Daniel's time by 0.3 of a second. Their lap times are Craig Jones at 1:10.027 compared to 1:10.469 of Daniel Williams.
Yeah, Craig's definitely got some good speed in that way south entry there, so look for him probably towards the end of this one to actually have a crack and see if he can't take third spot.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at that gap at the moment. It's 11 points. We're looking at about a 3.8 second gap, and he's closing in at a great rate of knots. 4 laps to go. He may catch him, but I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time to actually pass him.
Oh, I think in these types of races, if you get up there and you can maybe put a nose up there, the guys will have a dig. Yeah, if you don't have a go at the hole, why are we doing this? So look for him. If you can get anywhere near him, I think he'll be trying to poke the nose in and take that spot.
Actually, I do this because it's part of my therapy.
Well, it's not a bad way to have the therapy either. So, no, look, it's good fun. We should also say, thanks to everyone who's still in the YouTube chat, give us a bit of a plug. How do you think this one's going to turn out for our top 3? Might be a bit of an interesting quiz to have now.
Yeah, definitely. So who do you think are going to be the top 3 finishers in this heat anyway, and then we'll get you to dig deeper and call the top 3 for the second heat before we even start that one.
Yeah, well, look, I think it's definitely going to be Dane and Marlon, 1 and 2. For third, I'm still putting my money on Craig Jones. I reckon if he gets up there with a sniff, he's going to be in for third.
Yeah, well, he's a hard charger, Craig, isn't he? And we can see now Daniel Trim on the inside of the 29, too wide through the first hairpin there. Good driving by both of them. No contact, and Paul Preston hangs on to that 7th position.
Yeah, good little drive there. And it's the second line that Nick mentioned in the lukewarm lap really starting to come into play. So the guys have got a few options. If they maybe think they can sneak it past, they'll do it. But it's good to see him still given the opportunity for a move this late on and letting everyone race clean and fair.
Yeah, they're definitely doing that. And of course, Daniel Trim, he's trying to recover from that near loss he had about 3 or 4 laps ago. But as you can see, Daniel, once they get caught up in this traffic, it makes it very difficult for them to get those positions back.
Yeah, it sure does. Here we go. We've got a good little battle on for first at the moment. We should get up and check this out. Dane Warren, Marlon McMullen. This is going on hell for leather, and Marlon's actually squeaked around the outside through turn 1.
Yeah, and he's taken the lead, hasn't he, through turn 2 there, through that sweeper, and we'll see what Dane does under brakes. He was tucked right up on his rear wing here. Is he going to have a look? Dane's going defensive, and there's nearly touching, but there's none at the moment.
No, this is a really good battle. Marlon's just waited right to the last minute to have a dig at this and made it stick. So I think there's going to be enough respect between these guys not to bin it for each other, but this is going to go right down to the wire now.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is exactly what Marlon's wanting to do, isn't it? He's pretty much saying, I've got a grip on the sprint race trophy here, Dane, and I'm going to take it to you.
Yeah, definitely, and he's doing everything he needs to. He's going defensive into turn 1. He's going to make him go around the outside again to take this pass. So whatever he can do to be defensive within reason, and I'm sure he's going to do it.
Yeah, well, we're riding now with Dane Warren there. Marlon got a very good exit speed there out of turn 1. Now look at Dane, he's just floating it through, and I tell you what, they use every inch of the track, if not more, through that part of the circuit.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see it with the amount of dirt that's starting to fire up there, but Marlon's still a little bit squirrely on the brakes there. He's just inviting Dane to come back in and have a shot.
Yeah, and this is the last lap, so what's Dane going to do? Is he going to, he's running out of options here. I guess if he can tuck it in on the right up on his back there as they come into the final corner as they are now, get a run, he might be able to snatch it. Gives him a bit of a touch up, unsettles him. Marlon's covering him. It's going to be close here, Daniel.
Sure is. That's a hell of a way to finish. Good battle from both of these two. Dane, like you mentioned, got up in there, gave him a touch, let him resettle, and nearly got around the outside.
Yeah, meanwhile, Daniel Williams held on to third. Craig Jones did catch him, but he couldn't, he had no time to capitalise. Then coming through is Thomas Hinds, Paul Preston, Daniel Trim. Daniel never recovered from that close spin, did he? And Sean Thompson, ninth. Jacob Knight, good driver there. Drive for him, he'll be happy with that coming home in 10th position.
Yeah, it was a good drive there for Jacob. Started 9th, finished 10th. Can't really complain over that one. Michael Ford home in 11th. Brody Whitmore, we saw having a really good battle earlier on there. Home in 12th. James Scott 13th. Braden Bateman in 14th, and coming back up to 15th after that early first lap spin. Henry King, that's a great recovery for him there.
Yeah, then 16th, Mark Samuel. One of the biggest movers that we didn't see any of tonight was Jamie McKnight, up 14 positions to come home in 17th. So that is an awesome drive, considering it's only an 18-lap race. Jaden Borg, he finishes in 18th tonight. 19th, David Kinmont. Gary Cooper finishes 20th. 21st, Daniel Vassell. 22nd, Matt Lepoidovan. 23rd, David Miller. And 24th, Tony Gaffer.
25th and last on the lead lap was Nathan Tregarthen. And if we get to our lap down and non-finishes, we had Kyle Stokes home in 26th, 1 lap down. Jordan McDonald home in 27th, 2 lap down. Paul Tajvara was 28th, 6 laps down. Stephen Varga, who ran into a little bit of trouble earlier on, 8 laps down and in 29th. And the non-finishers, we had Matt Clowett in 30th, Dale Hockey 31st, and Wayne Taylor out of 32nd.
Yeah, and then we've got all the non-starters behind them, and we, as I was saying, 39 in the server. We had about 31 take to the track, and as far as the finishers go, we had about 26 finished.
Yeah, so not a bad race. Obviously, we kind of expect there'd be a little bit of attrition with the nature of the circuit and that, but for the guys that were able to hang in there and get home, congratulations to them. But they put on some great racing for us to have a watch at. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get the same again going into the second half of this sprint round.
Yeah, and what will happen now, folks, is the new server will come up and we'll be switching to that very shortly. But while we're waiting for that to occur, let's bring Henry King up and we'll have a chat with him and just get his point of view of that race. Hi Henry, welcome to the RRTV Combox, mate, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we saw you having a bit of a spin on lap 1.
Yeah, unfortunately I did manage to keep it off anyone and off the fence though, so hammer down. And
yeah, well, you seem to recover pretty well. You got back up into 15th position by the looks of it, because we saw you in the background spinning. You would have probably gone nearly to the back of the line, wouldn't you?
yeah, when I crossed the line at the end of lap 1, I was down in 30th, so to come back to 15th, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that's an awesome recovery, that's for sure. And what's the V8 Supercar like out there tonight at Summit Point?
It's actually, I'm really enjoying it. A little bit more grip wouldn't hurt with such a tight and twisty track, but 650 horsepower will do that.
Yeah, well, it looked like we were riding there with Marlon McMullen, and I know Summit Point can be a busy track in any car, but what's it like trying to coax a V8 Supercar around here?
For the most part, it's actually pretty good. Coming out of turn 1's probably the worst, because it's very bumpy through that section of the track, and with a spool diff, and as I say, 600 plus horsepower, it just wants to light them up. Doesn't really matter which gear you're in. Okay.
Yeah, we noticed there with Dane Warren short shifting. I guess you were doing the same thing. He was short shifting very early just to keep the revs down as much as he could.
Yeah, definitely. For the first few laps, you could hold second through there, but probably 6 or 7. And I started short shifting to the third just to get the extra drive and more traction.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it sounds like the new server's up, so no doubt you're going to want to get out there and start practicing. But before we let you go, Henry, any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
Actually, at the moment, I just want to give a good shout out to you, Bernie. You've been here pretty much week in, week out for us, and not just myself, everyone in the whole league, giving us a great bit of coverage. So thank you, mate.
Oh, thank you. I like that. There's a bit of love in the com box tonight here, Daniel.
Yeah, look, do I need to leave and give you two a moment?
No, it's all good. It's all good. Have you got any questions for Henry before we go to some advertisements?
Look, I've only got the one question, Henry. What was your read on the bit of issue at the start there? Was it just a bit of hard trying to make a bit of room, or someone maybe just a little bit squirrely getting out there?
That was all me at the start. Lit it up in third gear. Usually I come through that in turn 2 in fourth and went to third because we were too wide, and yeah, just looped it on my own.
Well, look, mate, we wish you the best for the second round tonight. Hopefully we'll see you back up the pointy end. We know you're pretty good on the qualifying.
You still there, Daniel? Just having a look. You guys still there, or have I lost everyone?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, no worries. Anyway, Henry, thanks for dropping in, mate. Best of luck on the next race, and we better get set up to start calling that one.
No worries, guys. Have fun.
Yep, see you, buddy. Okay, you still there, Daniel? We might have lost Daniel Leap, but we'll see if he comes back to us. But in the meantime, folks, we're going to go to a very quick commercial break now while I reset everything here, and we'll be back in racing very shortly. Welcome back, folks, to our continuing coverage of round 17 of the Australian Online Supercar Championship, coming to you live from Summit Point. If you're joining us just now, race 1 has been run and won, and Marlon McMullen just beat out Dane Warren by half a car length, and Daniel McMillan held on to third position. But of course now, Daniel, they're all going to reset and start qualifying once again.
Yeah, we got the guys back out on track. Pace is a little slower than what we saw. Well, actually, we're still I think we're still in practice now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're still doing practice at the moment, and then we're going to go to qualifying. So a little bit of build-up to go until the race starts, I think.
Yeah, definitely. But no, look, we saw some great racing. The times now for practice are starting to come down to what we saw traditionally. It's maybe a second or so off the outright pace we saw in race 1, where the guys now are doing minute 10.9. So just getting a feel for the track conditions as Thomas McMillan jumps up on a 1.9.6. So the speed's starting to come back. The guys maybe have a tweak that they're going to do now, and they'll reset and get ready to go.
Yeah, exactly right. And having a look out there at the moment, we've got 25 cars in the service at the moment. We're just seeing if any more are coming out there. We've got Marlon McMullen's back, Dane Warren, he's out there at the moment getting his car tuned up and sitting in the 15th position. But I guess at this point in time, Daniel, they're pretty much going to take what they did in race 1 and try to fine-tune this car a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there'll be big swings of the spanner for these guys. They'll just maybe make a slight bar adjustment, or maybe tweak the brakes or tyre pressures just a hair, and set themselves up for the next race. But looking at what Marlon have done and what Dane have done, I can't see them wanting to make big swings at the car. The guys may be a little further back. Daniel Williams obviously didn't quite have the pace earlier on. He might make a bit more of a change and try and progress back up the pointy end of the field.
Yeah, and his pit crew are in there just doing some adjustments in pit lane as we speak. Daniel Trim also out there, and he's probably going to want his pit crew just to have a look at the rear end of that, because it did seem a little bit loose at times in that last race.
Yeah, they'll have a few options there. They could, you got rear springs. You can drop your ride height down. You've got so many options now, and he'll want to get through as many adjustments as he can now and work out what suits him better. Yeah,
exactly right. So we'll see what he comes up with. Having a look at the race info, of course, here, folks, and track length tonight, 3.2 kilometres, mostly cloudy out there, 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And unlike Canberra, it's nice and sunny out there. And if you're watching us from Victoria, stay safe, because no doubt you guys have been absolutely drenched today, and there's more to come tomorrow.
Yeah, it looks like we're in for a pretty wild weekend as far as the weather's concerned on the eastern seaboard of Australia. So to all the guys out there, if you are in some pretty ordinary weather, just stay inside, jump on the rig and have a few laps.
Yeah, well, I know in Canberra they're talking about anywhere from 35 to 60 mils tomorrow. And you were saying earlier up in Queensland, I think you clocked about 75 mils at one point. Yeah,
a bit earlier on in the week, we got a fair bit of rain. It's sort of eased off now, but there's talk obviously more throughout the weekend, but hopefully not. Got a birthday to do for my daughter, so hopefully we get some nice weather for that. But if we do, you can't say no to a bit of rain, can you?
No, it's going to be pretty dry. I think the way they're talking, though, is we're going to get the majority of our summer rainfall in a couple of days. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. I've got the kayak out and I'm starting to build the ark, so we should all be right.
Yeah, it's all right, mate. Just get yourself a cut lunch and you'll be sorted should you get a bit of weather.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm all ready to go. But it's as always, folks, thanks for joining us here tonight. If you like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up. And it always helps to promote our videos. If you don't like what we're doing, let us know what we need to do to improve, just to make your viewing experience that much better. But we're just now pretty much waiting for practice to finish, and then we'll get down to the business end of this. Of course, after that, Marlon's probably extended his lead by a couple of points, but you know, it's looking like, unless something disastrous happens, touch wood, Dane's going to have a hard time trying to take this Sprint Cup Championship tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll see how the guys go. I'm sure. We saw race one. There's plenty of respect, a lot of room given, or enough room given to avoid contact. So I think we'll see that continue on. Should these two find themselves next to each other again, but they're doing everything they need to do to put the points in the bag and take this championship.
Yeah, exactly right. And they're racing very close, but I don't think there's any paint traded between them. I don't think there's any contact whatsoever, so they're racing hard but extremely fair, which is fantastic. But looking at the practice at the moment, Daniel Trim, he's the fastest out there with a 109.378. Then we've got James Scott at 109.448. Paul Preston sitting third in practice with a 109.476. Looking down for Dane Warren and Marlon McMullen. Well, Marlon's down there in 23rd and not on the track at the moment, and Dane Warren, he's sitting in 15th and still they're turning the spanners on that car.
Yeah, I reckon these guys might be sandbagging a bit, keep the times to themselves, maybe look at that last little bit of data and do what they can. But we got qualifying coming up pretty soon, and if there is any time to be gained, we'll start to see that then.
Yeah, exactly right, and they might be off having a, what do racing drivers drink these days?
Probably a green tea or a ginger ale. The more seasoned guys, maybe a beer or a Coke or something.
Maybe a kale wine. That might go down well.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I had kale for dinner last night. Rather interesting, whatever you'd call it, experience.
Yeah. Look, I'm not a big fan of eating the food that my food eats. So do all the vegetarians. But give me a steak dinner any day of the week. Yeah.
Well, it was a rather interesting dinner. I don't know what you call it, but it's got a special name. That experience.
Yeah, definitely does. And I guess while we got some time here, we probably should jump back and check out this rig again, because we mentioned earlier it's the last chance these guys have got to have a grab at it, and we really should give a big thank you to Pagnium Imports and Next Level Racing for putting up an amazing prize that these guys were able to have a shot at.
Yeah, definitely. We've got it up on the screen, and for those new to the season, this rig does not necessarily go to the winner. Basically what happens is they get entries, don't they, depending on how they perform. So basically if they complete 10 rounds in season 2, they'll get 10 entries into this draw. Then basically completed each round as a finisher, another entry. Driver with the lowest incident count for the round, excluding enduros, they get one more entry. And drive of the day, the important one. Generally we sit on the fence and give it to 2 people and give them 1 point each, but they can get up to 2 entries from us tonight. And basically it all goes together, doesn't it? And then entries will close. Well, it says here the entries have closed, so that's interesting. And then between the 2nd and the 5th, 5 drivers are going to be selected from all the entries. And basically, if you think about it, each entry you get, you've got another ticket into the draw. 5 drivers randomly selected. Out of that, Daniel, then those guys have to submit in writing why they should be the one to win this fantastic prize. And then, of course, 2 weeks' time for the finale, we'll be announcing the winner here on RRTV.
Yeah, definitely, and it's great to see the likes of Pagnium and Next Level Racing coming on board, looking after the guys who love doing this, put in the hard yards, compete every week in, week out. It's a great chance for them, obviously, to get a nice bit of new kit coming into Christmas. But it's phenomenal to have the likes of Pagnium on board doing this, and these guys are racing not just to be the quickest out here and take the championship, but the cleanest, less incident points, and they've got every chance to take this. So you don't have to be the quickest, just most consistent, clean, and put on a good show, and you can definitely be in with a chance to win it.
Yeah, that's what I absolutely love about this prize, is that it doesn't go to the winner of the championship. It means, as we were saying, everyone out there can have a chance to win that. Not only that, once they get to the 5, the Pagnion's making sure it goes to the most deserving winner, and I think that totally embodies the spirit of the Australian Online Supercar Championship and the inclusiveness of it. So yeah, if you're looking for any sim gear, definitely go to pagnionimports.com.au. They'd have to be the biggest sim racing retailer here in Australia.
Yeah, definitely, and with the most diverse amount of gear. I mean, obviously you've got some specialty suppliers that do cater to some slightly more higher end equipment, but for anyone who's looking at starting, whether it be simulation for racing or flight sim, all that sort of gear, Pagnium have got it all covered. So stop in, have a look at them, and see how you can go with some good deals. And obviously coming into Christmas, no doubt there's going to be some good sales coming up as well. Yeah,
no doubt there would be, and if everyone's been nice out there, they might get a good piece of sim kit, and if you've been bad, well, I don't know what you get. Do you get a train set? No, you get that if you're good. I get confused.
Look, you get something, and if you're really good, you pick up a nice bit of kit and a rig. Maybe if you're not quite as nice, you get an F1 wheel for your Thrustmaster, or a new set of headphones or something, but look, you get something.
Jeez. I think I'll be lucky if I get a pair of socks, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. You can see out there Daniel Vassell at the moment in the MFR livery, sitting in 19th position. It's also, while we're plugging away here, folks, and waiting for qualifying to start, we've got a very special event coming up on RRTV next Thursday night, and basically it's going to be a bit of a... I wouldn't call it a showdown, but basically the Australian Online Speedway Association, they're taking on the ANSCAR boys, and you see the ANSCAR guys racing every Thursday night in the Thursday Night Thunder. So they decided they're going to take the top 12 drivers of each of those series, and they're going to meet up at Eldora on the dirt, which pleases the Speedway guys, and they're going to be racing the trucks on the dirt, which will please the ANSCAR guys. So it's going to be a big night of racing. It's going to start off with hot laps, each driver from each team against each other. Then we're going to go into the heats, then we're going to have the main B, and then end the night with the main A final, and then we can announce who gets a bragging rights for the night.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be interesting racing, especially seeing the guys coming from the oval to the dirt and getting into a NASCAR on the dirt. It's going to be another thing entirely.
Yeah, well, they had to compromise, you know. They had to make sure they were comfortable, and of course the Speedway guys, well, they just said, throw us in anything, as long as it's on the dirt, we're happy. And of course the ANSCAR guys said, well, we're used to the truck, so let's give that a go. But I guess, you know, the truck has a dirt setup in it, doesn't it?
Well, it does do, and if you can get it around, it's a good bit of fun. I haven't tried it yet. I've taken one of the V8s out, and that's not something I would recommend to anyone. But the utes in the dirt, how much more Australian could you get?
Oh, exactly right. I know the ANSCAR boys were floating the idea of sprint cars at Charlotte. They thought that might have been fun, or sprint cars at Talladega, but of course that didn't. Well, it would have literally flown, but that didn't get off the drawing board.
No, but it's a good compromise. It's great to see some different series coming together, throw something a bit special together, and it's a bit of a reward, like you mentioned, for those top guys to sort of showcase their talents not only on one specific discipline, but a bit of a cross-discipline characteristic.
Yeah, it's a bit. I think it'll be a bit like a Christmas party. You know, this is them getting together and letting their hair down, having a bit of fun, and with all their mates. And of course, you know, it doesn't matter what you race. The Australian New Zealand iracing community is quite a close-knit community, and you've got friends generally in all classifications.
Yeah, definitely, exactly right.
So you can see, I don't know how long this quali is going to go for, but it feels like we've been here all night.
Yeah, well, practice is about ready to wind up. I think we're just coming up to the 10 seconds to go mark. So once that kicks over, everyone will be head down, bum up, out of pit lane. They've got 10 minutes to set their best lap. And then from there, we'll jump in and we'll start an 18-lap sprint race all over again.
Yeah, and the fastest in practice was Gary Cooper with a 109.323. And we'll see what they can do now that qualifying's about to start. This is when it starts getting a little bit serious, doesn't it? 9 minutes of qualifying, 10 minutes. You can see them all come streaming out of the pits. We have a total of 29 drivers in the server tonight, and it looks like they're all, most of them are taking to the track.
Yeah, I think they'll all get out now. I think maybe some guys will hold back, try and get a little bit of room, but you've got a minute 10 to play with. There's not much there, but yeah, Gary Cooper and Craig Jones, they set nearly identical lap times in that practice session, and I expect them to be very quick coming into qualifying.
Yeah, well, they're Dane Warren sitting in 13th as far as seeding goes. He's in a bit of traffic though, and this is where it gets interesting, isn't it? We've seen previous sprint races. I think Sonoma was one of them. Mullen, McMullen, Forza and El Nabi, from what I can recall, they finished 1 and 2. But then when it came to the second qualifying, the wheels fell off for Forza because he could not get a clean lap, and he ended up getting buried in the field. But that shouldn't be too much of the case here tonight. Because there's only 29 compared to Sonoma. I think we had around about 57 sprint cars on that track that night.
Yeah, definitely. It was similar to Brands Hatch also. I think that was another one up around 60, and we saw the same thing with guys being able to get a cracking qualifying in the first race, but be nowhere come the second one due to the amount of traffic that was out there. So it is a bit of a potluck, and the quick guys already are starting to come to the top. We've got Marlon McMullen, provisional pole, followed by Brendan Braitman in second there. Dane Warren still getting the tyres up, sitting in third at the moment. So the quick guys are still finding their way back to the top of this.
Yeah, and Paul Preston got a bit squirrely in the final corner there. He's jumped to 11th, but there's a lot of time left for him to improve on. We're seeing them as they're streaming through now. Let's bring up the quali standings, the top 10. As you said, Marlon McMullen, a 110.546. Braden Bateman sitting in second in a 112. Dane Warren, his first lap, quite a slow one, 113 in third. Brady Whitmore, Nathan Tregarson, Kyle Stokes, Daniel Trim 7th, Craig Jones 8th, Matt Lepoitovan 9th, Gary Cooper, he rounds out our top 10.
Yeah, I think, like we said, now they're getting out there, the tyres is coming up. These laps will start dropping down more and more. I mean, McMullen's just lowered that to a 108.8, Dane Warren 109.2. So the times are now starting to be a bit more reflective of what we saw last race.
Yeah, we can see, having a look at Daniel Trim currently in 4th position. He did jump up to 3rd, but Sean Thompson, awesome jump there, straight into 2nd position. He did a 109.175, but the times continue to tumble. Thomas Hines pushes him down to 3rd. He did a time of a 109.082. So at the moment, the only person in the 108s is Marlon McMullen.
Yeah, and just looking back, looks like the guys are starting to now get a little bit of room there to move. So hopefully they can run their own rate, well, own qualifying times. They're not really going to get too impeded. And Craig Jones just jumped up into second at 109.077. Just got up over Thomas Hines there. So it's a very quick time starting to show up on the board.
Yeah, we're riding with Dane Warren now. He's behind Braden Bateman here, trying to get that toe. 108.869 he did, and goes straight to pole position.
Yeah, that's only 300ths of a second. Thousandths. Sure, thousands maybe, hundreds between himself and Marlon. So the times are very, very competitive right now.
Yeah, and he made sure he was tucked right up under Braden Bateman's wing, right down that back straight into the final corner and up the start-finish straight, and to maximise as much toe as he possibly could. And when he did, it was only, what, 0.003 of a second separates him from Marlon. We're riding with Marlon now as he's coming up. He's got a middle finger racing car coming back on the circuit. that should not have compromised him. So we'll see if he can snatch pole back again.
Yeah, looking like a pretty good lap. It was good to see the off-track car there just staying out of the way and letting Marlon have a crack there. And it was a nice exit out of the final corner onto the front straight there.
He's coming through now, 1:10.732, does not improve. In fact, that was quite a slow lap, wasn't it? It wouldn't have got him in the top 10 if that was his first lap out.
No, not at all. And at the moment, we're sitting around 7/10 of a second, separating Dane Warren in first on provisional pole at the moment, and Henry King, who's bouncing back really strong in the second sprint here in 10th at the moment.
Yeah, well, you know, in the interview, he dropped all the way down to 30th, and he managed to get his way back to 15th. So I'll tell you what, he'll be a force to be reckoned with if he gets up into the, say, the top 6, and he has a clean start.
Yeah, definitely, and we know he's consistent. We know he's quick in the car. So if he's not out in the weeds in the first lap again, he'll definitely be challenging up that middle to high top 5 position.
Yeah, definitely. You can see him on his out lap now. He actually slowed, let all the traffic through. He's just trying to find that piece of the track where he's got no one around him, and he can focus in what he does best, and that's fast. But Marlon McMullen now jumps up to pole, 1:08.799. Dane Warren, he's what did he do? A 1:08.869. So nothing separating these two at all.
No, not at all. And Dane got a little lucky there. Looks like Craig Jones was able just to step sideways out of his way and let him through on that lap.
Yeah, so we'll see who's going to get pole position here. We've got 3 minutes to go, and of course 3.5 minutes in qualifying. It can seem like an eternity, as so much can happen in that time.
Yeah, it sure can, and these guys will be pushing all the way to the very end there. And I don't think we got a report on Dane's lap that time. Why?
He did a 1:08.746 and he's in pole position. So he beat out Marlon McMullen by 0.05 of a second.
Jeez, I don't know where these guys are finding the speed, but they're really starting to turn it on right at the end here.
Yeah, we just saw Craig Jones come together with Thomas McMillan, which ended their qualifying. We can see Thomas Hinds currently sitting in 4th position as he comes down the start-finish straight. See if he can improve in his time. He does a 1:09.207, and that does not improve him.
No, but he's still got a chance for one more lap. He might be able just to squeak those tyre pressures up a smidge and get out there and go again, which he is now.
Yeah, Daniel Trim at the moment, the best he's done is 7th tonight, which is a bit lower than where he was in Heat 1. I think he started about 4th in Heat 1.
Yeah, he's up 4th there, so his qualifying is a touch slower than what we saw in practice for him. Not by much, but he looks like he's just struggling for a little bit of traction and drive out of some of these slower corners at the moment.
Yeah, well, the car looked a little bit loose in some of these corners in the last one, but it's I don't think it doesn't look any improved over Heat 1.
No, so it's going to be interesting just to see does he burn those tyres off a bit sooner rather than everyone else and progressively fall back like he did in the last race.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on him. The way that car's handling it, to me, it just looks a little bit loose in that rear end, but I might be reading things into it. You can see Thomas Hinds now coming through to complete another lap, 1:14 to go, sitting in 4th position. He only has to improve by 1/1000th of a second to get up into 3rd. Or is that 100th of a second? I don't know. It's so close anyway.
Yeah, absolutely nothing between himself and Craig Jones in 3rd and 4th at the moment, so these two are very closely matched. Same with Sean Thompson just behind them as well. There's not much of a gap there. It's just a 1/10 of a second covering those 3 cars, so very, very close times, similar to what we're seeing up the front of the field. So the guys are getting on top of the setup. They're pretty well where they want to be, I think, now going into the start of this race.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Sean Thompson's improved a lot, hasn't he? He's sitting in 5th at the moment, and he was finished, I think, 9th in the first heat. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do from that start position. Henry King, he wanted a good starting grid here, but he's only managed 13th at the moment as he's coming through to complete another lap.
Yeah, it looks like Dane Warren has just lowered that lap time pole a little lower again. It's down to a 108.664, so starting to increase a little bit of a gap over Marlon, and that's a little bit of a psychological edge he's trying to get there, and maybe just make him think he's that little bit quicker and he's got something to worry about.
I don't think Marlon's that worried. He parked the car and walked away. I think he's having a Chardonnay or whatever these V8 supercar drivers have. I think we did this, didn't we? He's having a Chardonnay and kale sandwich.
Oh, God.
Well, it's a new breed of motorsport drivers, you know.
Yeah, I suppose so. What are those? Some line or some weird thing they do in the hair and that. So, why not? They can have it.
Yeah, whatever. Next, I'll be wearing cologne and all that fancy stuff. But we can see the guys down finishing now. Brodie Whitmore goes across the line. He's only managed 23rd as he launches it into the trees, as one does. Stephen Vargas finished now as well, 24th position, and then Matt Lepoitovan down there in 28th. But qualifying's pretty much done, so let's go through the grid so you can see where your favourite driver will be starting tonight. So looking at the grid, Dane Warren will start from pole position for the second time tonight. His time was a 108.664, just beating out Marlon McMullen in second position. Craig Jones, he'll start in the second row in third, and he's got Thomas Hinds joining him on the outside in fourth. On the third row will be Sean Thompson in fifth, and Thomas McMillan will start out of sixth. Out of seventh will be Daniel Trim. He's got Michael Ford for company, starting on the outside of him. Jacob Knight will start in ninth position, and Daniel Williams, he'll start in 10th. Out of 11th is Kyle Stokes, and rounding out our top 12 is Jaden Borg.
Coming home starting out of 13th tonight, will be Gary Cooper, followed by Henry King. David Kidmon will be starting from 15th alongside Jamie McKnight. Then we've got Matt Clowett out of 17th, followed by Paul Preston. Jordan McDonald, who we didn't see in the first race, starting out of 19th, followed by Nathan Tregarthen out of 20th. Dave Miller will be starting from 21st position tonight, followed by James Scott out of 22nd.
Yeah, out of 23rd we have Brodie Whitmore and Stephen Varga in 24th. Braden Bateman will start out of 25th. Tony Gaffer, he'll start in 26th. Daniel Vassell 27th. Matt Lepoitovan out of 28th, and running out our field of 29 is Daryl Hockey.
Yeah, so a few less guys than we had in the first round. One guy who's going to be very happy with you right now is Matt Lepoitovan, getting his name right. I think that's first time for the season, so he'll be big thumbs up in the car to you there, Bernie.
Yeah, he's probably thinking it's only taken 17 rounds. Don't worry, I'll mess it up by the next round, but we can see the guys now taking to the grid, and it's quite an interesting stagger to this grid, isn't it? As we see Dane Warren, who's got just sitting a car length in front of Marlon McMullen.
Yeah, it is, but hopefully we should get a pretty good start in this one. I'd love to get another poll from the viewers. What do we think the finishing top three will be? Chris Casey's up on your food here, reckons pie and beers is the food of champions, so good on him. But yeah, let's get a bit of a poll going to see what they reckon our top three is going to finish up with tonight.
Yeah, well, Nathan Connor's putting his pick as Dane. He's saying Dane's the go for this one.
Yeah, well, I reckon he could be right. I think Marlon might come back with a bit of a surprise. Craig Jones has really smartened that car up for the start of this one. A little surprised, where was it? Daniel Williams is so far back.
Here we go, and go back to race. 18 laps remaining here. Dane Warren got a very good start as we see him coming into turn one. Marlon McMullen searching for a way through, tucks back in. He's probably looking in his mirrors at the moment as that looks like Thomas McMillan in third.
Yeah, we've got a very big wreck at the back here. I don't know who's involved in that. It's like definitely one of the Stealth Sim Sport cars. I'm not sure who it was, but These guys were 3 and 4 wide getting in through turn 1 again.
Yeah, we'll go back and have a look at the replay. It's taken out probably all but the top 5 of this field.
Yeah, it looks like David Miller's carrying some damage. He's gone off again, I believe.
Just having a look at this replay to see where it unfolded. Yeah, it was a 24 actually started that one. He jump up the front and work out who he spun. Yeah, he got into the 56, I think it was, turned him around, and then no one had anywhere to go, and of course it became a parking lot, and just bumper to bumper action, I guess you could say.
Yeah, definitely. So if we look at the 24, that was Jacob Knight. The 56th in that one, that was Michael Ford, and Michael's a long way down after that issue.
Yeah, we'll have a look at this again. You can see Jacob Knight in the 24. He's got the mega car in front of him. Keep an eye on this, folks, because as they come into turn 1, the 24 does get into the back of the 56 and start to turn him around. There you go there. You can just see it now. He backed right out of it, but it was enough. It was actually not the 56. It was one of the case-centric cars turned him. But then, of course, as you can see, it's a parking lot.
Yeah, it's very hard to get anywhere once those guys have collided. And one guy who's picked up a bit of damage but still managed to keep going reasonably well, Henry King, started 14th up to 11th. Got the old iracing glitch, lost the boot, but he's fighting on here. He's got just in head in front of him, Brody Whitmore. So he'll just start working on the back of Brody and maybe take another spot up here.
Yeah, and the cars that the drivers are quite disappointed. Thomas McMillan, he was the one we saw that Jacob Knight got into the back of him, and he turned the 56 and got caught in the middle of that. He's all the way down in 28th position, and he's had to take that car for a quick repair. Nathan Tregarthen down there in 29th position, also taken to the pits. Jamie McKnight just coming out now after using his fast repair, and Matt Lepoidovan has retired from the race.
Yeah, so he's had a bit of issue there. Maybe couldn't get it back in time. We have Jamie McKnight also with some issues. Thomas McMillan, I think Kyle Stokes was involved in that. Michael Ford's carrying some damage. So we've got a fair few wounded cars out here at the moment now.
Yeah, and one car that's not wounded is Sean Thompson. He's sitting in 5th position, and his car's actually looking shinier than it did in Heat 1. Thomas Hinds also had a great start, didn't he? He's up in 4th, trying to chase down Craig Jones. But that incident, it spread the field right out, hasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly has. It's also helped promote Daniel Williams up too from 10th to 6th, so that's really helped him out there, because obviously the car maybe will not quite as quick as we saw in race 1, but he'll be happy with that. Sean Thompson, again, like you mentioned, doing a good job. Thomas Hinds, his teammate, just ahead of him. Craig Jones, though, back up into 3rd and not letting these guys up in front get too far away from him either.
Yeah, another car buried down here is James Scott. We saw he had the pace in race 1. He's going to have his work cut out for him now. He's in 11th. He's shadowing Henry King as he just starts the Morse code on the rear bumper there. And now he's having a look. He's going to turn Henry around, I think.
Yeah, he was able to help put him back around. He's going to redress that position and let Henry King back through. But yeah, that's not something he would have wanted to do there.
No, that's right. It's going to cost him both time, but he did the right thing now. Henry's got trouble. He's pulled out of it. I don't think he's happy with the way that car's handling. He's taking it straight to the pits.
And Jordan McDonald was a big benefactor out of that. He was able to get past Henry King and James Scott on that one into turn 1, and the final turn. That's put him up to 12th position now.
Yeah, and he's gone straight to the defensive, and what's James Scott going to do? He's going around the outside turn 1. That's the long way as they trade a little bit of paint there. James Scott tucks back in. Jordan McDonald spins up the wheels, and they're touching. Oh, big contact.
Yeah, surely that had to have been unsighted. They're not going to be happy over that one.
Now we'll have a look at this this because it all started turn 1 and James went for the inside. Jordan opted to take that line off him and go defensive, but let's have a look at how this unravelled. Then they got into each other into turn 1, not heavily but just enough. But have a look at this now as James is on the outside and then Jordan comes straight across the track. He mustn't have known he was there because he ran straight into the side of him, taking them both out. Well, he actually took himself out. James Scott looked like he continued on.
Yeah, it looked like he was able to. I'm not too sure whether he got a call from his spotter there or not. That's going to be quite disappointing for him. So, yeah, it's going to have to be interesting. There might be a bit of a... they'll talk about this in the penalties later on, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. The other car out there walking wounded is Jacob Knight. He is involved in that first incident. He's up in 7th, but he's missing the front bonnet and continuing on. But let's have a look at the top 10 now that things are settling down, folks. And that's the wrong one. Race standings, so Dane Warren, he's leading Marlon McMullen by 1.1 seconds. Craig Jones is sitting in 3rd, 1.958 seconds off Marlon McMullen, 3.1 seconds off the lead. Thomas Hinds sitting in 4th, and he's 1.5 seconds behind Craig and 4.6 seconds off the lead. Then there's a massive gap back to Daniel Williams, 6.1 seconds in fact, and he's sitting in 5th, and then it starts closing out with Sean Thompson hunting him down. Jacob Knight sitting in 7th, as we said. Then we've got Paul Preston, Brodie Whitmore and Daniel Vassell rounding out our top 10. It's been quite a tame night of V8 Supercar action, really. Apart from that massive crash that took out the whole field, it's been fairly tame.
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad. I don't know what it is, but it's caused my system to have a bit of a glitch, so I'm just trying to jump back in quickly and work out what's going on here.
No worries. Well, we're looking out the back of Tony Gaffer's car here. He's jumped up 13 positions, sitting in 13th, and he's got Daryl Hockey right behind him at the moment. And Daryl, of course, he's got his hands full because Gary Cooper was one of the faster ones in practice, trying to come back through the field, sitting in 16th position. Riding on the roof cam now with Gary Cooper. We'll see what he can do as he gets a good run on the start-finish straight here. And see, it's not really giving him much benefit of the toe at all. In fact, I think Dale got a better run that time. So looking back up the front, Dane Warren's doing everything he needs to try to close this gap, but Marlon McMullen at the moment is just doing what he does best and sitting there in 2nd, being consistent and staying out of trouble, and the Sprint Car Championship will be his tonight. So Paul Preston in 8th, Brodie Whitmore 9th. And, I'm just trying to find some action here for you folks. It's very, very spread out indeed. The battle between Gary Cooper, Daryl Hockey continues down here in 14th, 15th. Then we've got Stephen Varga, Nathan Tregarthen battling it out. This is probably the closest battle, and they're in 21st and 22nd position.
There we go, and we just managed to catch up to that now that my system has stopped playing silly buggers on me. But yeah, it's a good little fight here with Stephen and Nathan. Those guys were in some issues early on and now starting to come back up again.
Yeah, and you just saw there Nathan getting a couple of wheels on the grass there and having it corrected. He's got a good run here on the start-finish straight. Let's see what he's going to do. No doubt Stephen's about to go defensive on him.
He's kind of leaving the door open. I reckon Nathan's going to get up here. As you say, puts the nose straight in there and goes around the inside. So not too much of a fight there from Stephen Varga in that position. No,
it was almost like he stepped aside, wasn't it? And decided he wasn't going to defend it, but now he's having a crack.
Yeah, managed to get a really good exit out of there. Let Nathan run a little wide, got in a little bit with more speed, and now he's going to come back up through the inside of the slightly tighter left-hand hairpin now.
Yeah, interesting. I thought he was going to let him go, but then all of a sudden he decided to get racy.
Yeah, I thought he might have settled in, like you mentioned, but look, good on him for getting back. It's if you can get back straight away, it's a big feather in your cap, but he's maybe pushing that car just a touch wide as Nathan gets back up the inside after that little bad exit there.
Yeah, he ran it pretty wide into the grass there, didn't he? And see what they can do. 9 laps remaining. We're already halfway through the final round here of our 60-60. Of course, folks, in 2 weeks' time, join us. We've got a Enduro at Bathurst to see the season out, and that'll be in a fortnight's time.
Yeah, so we'll be away for next week. Obviously, we've got week 13 and new iRacing updates coming. So to let everyone get that all settled and out of the way, they've pushed it back a fortnight. But that gives us a chance, obviously, to get a winner of the Pagnium Imports sim rig that they've got on offer here, which is awesome. But also to get the guys their head around and maybe get a really cracker setup going on for Bathurst.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. Oh. Passing my bedtime. Yeah, definitely they'll want to turn up the wick for Bathurst, because whenever there's a race at Bathurst, it generally stirs the passions in all the drivers' loins, I guess you could say, and they want to do their very best. But also it's going to give the community a bit of time to let these updates settle in, and it could be an interesting update. I've heard iRacing looking at debris, whether that's out this release or not. The other big one's going to be the heats. If that comes out, there's a rumour that it may not, or it may, no one's really sure. But that would basically mean tonight, folks, we wouldn't have to jump servers. They could do 2 heats in the same server instance. And the other big one, I guess, would be animated pit crew, Danny.
Yeah, well, the updated pit crew model's coming. That'll be interesting, given NASCAR's just changed to their rules for the upcoming season. But also, if it does launch, the global rallycross cars are coming, so that's going to be probably as big a jump as what we saw with Dirt. And a lot of guys are going to look for some awesome racing coming out in those 4-wheel drive cars.
Oh, definitely, it's going to be on for that, and I think that's why they're looking at bringing that heat racing in, because of course that's what, like Speedway, that's what Rallycross does, isn't it? They have their short heats, then they have their the main final. So yeah, I'm definitely very excited for Rallycross and seeing what that can bring to the service.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think I might have to break out the other wheel for the rig and get something a little bit more round than the F1 system that I've got now, but I think it's going to be an awesome bit of kit, and the driving style is completely different to what we've seen previously with either sprint cars in the dirt or any circuit racing.
Yeah, and I think what are they bringing out, those 4-wheel drive rallycross modern type cars, I think. I reckon I want them to bring out a Mark 1 Escort or something like that.
Well, yeah, might do eventually down the track. What was the other? The old Lanciers could be a bit of fun, although they probably break down more than they do finish a race. But yeah, some great old cars from even the old Group C days.
Well, I guess if they break down a lot, the Holden guys will probably enjoy driving them.
Well, yeah, true. We better have a quick recap here of where we're at with our top 10. Obviously, we've got Dane Warren starting to streak away, 2.5 seconds up in first place. Marlon McMullen sitting in second, 2.5 seconds back, doing everything he needs to do just to claim those points and take the non-endurance sprint cup championship. Craig Jones in third position at the moment, 7 seconds off the lead, followed by Thomas Hinds in fourth. Daniel Williams is now up to fifth, and that's a good recovery from him starting out at 10th. We've got Jamie McKnight sitting in sixth, Paul Preston just behind him in seventh. Brady Whitmore's in eighth at the moment, with Sean Thompson and Daniel Vassell rounding out the 10. Yeah,
and Sean's dropped back a bit, hasn't he, from that lead pack, and Daniel Vassell, of course, he's up 17 positions from where he started, and as always, when you have these big incidents, you have people that benefit and people that don't benefit, and some of the drivers struggling out there after that is one of them is Henry King. He's had to use that fast repair and he's in 18th. The other one is Jamie McKnight. He was looking quite good up until that incident. He's also had to take to the pits. 20th position, Nathan Tregarthen, another one that visited. 21st, Jordan McDonnell also went to the pits in 22nd. Stephen Varga looks like he's retired from the race. Thomas McMillan has, well, he's in the pits and he's been there for a very long time, not going anywhere. Michael Ford's retired. David Miller's also retired. We've lost Matthew Clowett, Kyle Stokes and Matt Lepoidovan. So we're down to 22 of the 29 starters.
Yeah, so we've had a bit more attrition than we saw in the last race. There's still some good battle pack racing going on at the moment. Even just looking up here we got Jamie McKnight sitting in 6th with Paul Preston just behind him, and slowly eking his way up onto the back of that little battle is Brodie Whitmore. So 6th, 7th and 8th are put on a good little show here at the moment.
Yeah, that's Jacob Knight, not Jamie McKnight. So yeah, Jacob Knight is in 6th position, and Paul Preston just putting the pressure on. Yeah,
should get rid of those MSI afterburner low info there. So yeah, sorry, Jacob Knight sitting in 6th and doing a pretty good job with that slightly damaged car holding off Paul Preston behind him. Yeah,
and Jacob's, pretty new to this series. I think it's his first season in the AOSC, and he's fairly new to the iRacing service, so it's good to see him out there having a great run, sitting in 6th and starting to find his feet.
Yeah, definitely, he's doing well. We've seen him a few times throughout this series, and the position in racing is getting better and better each time it goes by. So hopefully we'll see him back again next season and back up again the pointy end where he is now.
Yeah, and you can see now Brodie Whitmore is starting to have a look on Paul Preston here. Paul's leaving the door open. Brodie's thinking a bit tentative. Now he'll get him, because I think Paul just sort of outbraked himself. Surprisingly, he held on to that.
Yeah, it seems like if you can hold the inside through turn 1, you are able to recover a little bit of a mistake there if you can get a good drive. But looking at what Brodie's doing, he's eyeing off that inside line. I'm just not sure where he's going to be able to make the move on it though.
Yeah, well, it becomes a pretty much one lane track out this part of the circuit, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's not a lot of passing opportunities. These corners are pretty close together, and like we mentioned in the first race, the guys are short shifting just to keep that wheel spin down and help with the traction. So you've got a lot of things against you to get out of that area, but as they get up, especially through the final corner and onto this front straight, they've definitely got the opportunity to get a good pass up into turn 1.
We'll see what he can do now. We're down to 2 laps remaining. We've got Michael Ford in the green room. We'll cross to him as soon as this race completes. And Michael's one of the retirements, so we might get his point of view after the race on what occurred in turn 1.
Yeah, definitely. And while we wait for the conclusion of this for the next couple of laps, we probably should turn our attention to the battle for 3rd, which is going to start heating up. Similar to what we saw last time with Daniel Williams and Craig Jones, we've got Craig still here, but we've got Thomas Hinz in 4th and starting to hunt him down.
Yeah, looking at their last lap times, Thomas managed to take 6 tenths of a second out of Craig. We're on to the last lap though, and like last time, he may catch him. He's just not going to have any time to make a move, I think.
No, it is going to be hard for him, but a 7/10 gain the previous lap, that's big, especially around this circuit.
Yeah, and he then closed in by another 5 thousandths that time through. Sorry folks for my yawning. It's 11:25 PM here, and I'm normally in bed by about 7:30.
Yeah, I need to get you a nice coffee or a lukewarm coffee and see yourself through.
Yeah, well, the problem was I ran out of kale. Okay, let's not go there again.
Lord.
Anyway, one person that hasn't run out of kale, that's Dane Warren, as he comes through for the final time here, and it looks like he's going to take Heat 2 quite comfortably, but it's a reverse from Heat 1, so it'll be Dane Warren will come home with the win, then Marlon McMullen will finish in second, and he'll take home the non-endurance championship tonight. Craig Jones in third, just holding out Thomas Hinds. We're right, Thomas caught him. He just didn't have any time to make a go of it.
Yeah, Craig will be really happy with that. A fourth and a third, that's a good effort for him. Similar to Dane and Marlon, those two obviously switching positions between race 1 and 2. So pretty good battling for the top half of the field so far.
Yeah, definitely, and we can see Paul Preston finishing in 7th. Sean Thompson comes home in 9th. Daniel Vassell beat out Braden Bateman for 10th, but we'll go through the rest of the field now, folks. And you can see where your favourite driver finished, and then we'll go straight to interviews, and then it's time for me to go and have some sleep. You thought I was going to say kale, didn't you? No.
I was hoping you wouldn't.
Of course I wouldn't. I'm not some hippie. Alright, let's have a look at the race results here. So, Heat 2 goes to Dane Warren. He led every single lap of this race and did it quite convincingly. Marlon McMullen comes home in 2nd, Craig Jones 3rd, Thomas Hinds, he settles for 4th, Daniel Williams up 5 positions for 5th, Jacob Knight up 3 positions for 6th, Paul Preston up 11 positions for 7th, 15th up for Brodie Whitmore in 8th. Sean Thomas finishes in 9th. One of the biggest movers is Daniel Vassell up 17 positions to come home in 10th. In 11th was Braden Bateman, 12th James Scott. Home in 13th was Gary Cooper, followed by Tony Gaffer and Darryl Hockey in 15th. Daniel Trim 16th, 17th Henry King. Jaden Borg finishes in 18th, 19th David Kinmond, 20th Jamie McKnight, 21st was Jordan McDonald. Now we're into the retirements here. Nathan Tregarthen 22nd, Stephen Varga 23rd, Thomas McMillan 24th, 25th was Matthew Clowett, then Michael Ford in 26th, 27th David Miller, 28th Kyle Stokes, and Matt Lepoidovan was classified in 29th position.
Yeah, so it was great to see not a huge amount of retirements, obviously the top 20 on the lead lap and a few guys down afterwards. I've just noticed on the return to pit lane cooldown lap, Dane Warren is actually ahead of fuel, so he had that thing run right to the end of the tank and just enough to get himself home. Yeah,
we just saw him park it and get out. No doubt they'll make sure it doesn't get souvenired.
Yeah, I bet he would have done the old Sebastian Vettel out with the steering wheel and probably got a lift home with someone.
Yeah, no doubt. You can see Marlon McMullen out there celebrating, doing some drifting as he does. And meanwhile, let's bring up Michael Ford. Did you want to have a chat with Michael?
Yeah, let's get him up here and find out how things went for him in both race 1 and 2. G'day, Michael. Welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mate. A little bit disappointing probably for yourself, race 2, but give us a bit of a rundown on how you found both rounds tonight.
Hey, thanks for the time. Yeah, first second time back in the car in about 6 weeks. Ran Phillip Island a couple of weeks back with Pete Sattler, which was fun. Tonight was interesting. It's a track I absolutely despise. Just can't find a rhythm on it. Really, really fun. Just being in the car again. Race 1 went really well, found good rhythm, had a few close battles. Race 2, watched the mirror too much going into turn 1 and tapped Danny Trim, and that's history from there. I have no idea who else pulled into me. Got a bit slightly bent steering, then bottled up going into the last corner, slightly poor run down the main straight, and came back across, thought I was a bit clear, and got turned around again. That was it.
And had you used your fast from the first incident, or was that that's something that still had to be done later on?
Something that just had to be done, and it just every time I hit the brakes, it was pulling slightly to the right. Didn't want to running anybody else off the track or dropping back too much to take the leaders, back up into the leaders. So I just decided to pull in for the night. Haven't been running the championship full time, so there's no point me risking anything else with the leaders coming up with a championship battle.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a smart head on you there, mate. Obviously, coming up to the end of the season, we'd like you to see you up in Bathurst for in 2 weeks' time for the next race.
Certainly are, yeah. Pete Sattler and myself are looking at going at it again. We had a good result at Phillip Island. My first time in the car at the island was my first lap out of the pits. That was the first time in the car for 7.5 weeks, and hopefully get a bit more practice this time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, mate, it's great to have you back. It's been a while since I've spoken to you, but it'll be good to see you back at Bathurst, especially teaming up with Pete there. Before we let you get out of here, or even, sorry, before Bernie's got a question for you, no doubt, we better get a word from all your sponsors, mate.
Yeah, no sponsors currently, just WP Concreting, of course, thanks for them. Bid sponsor of Middle Finger Racing as well. A great bunch of guys there. Performance Sim Sports for all the time and effort they've put into us, and yeah.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, I don't think I've got any more questions for you, Michael. I was daydreaming, but
I've got some kale here if you want it.
Oh, beauty. Yeah, that'll wake me up. No worries. It's the food of champions, they said in the chat room. No worries, Michael. Thanks for popping in, mate. Thanks also for waiting until the end of the race to come up for a chat. I saw you earlier there, waiting patiently to come in.
No worries, and thank you very much for the time and effort that you guys put in every week, week in, week out. It doesn't matter what series it is, you're always sitting here commentating on us, so thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries. We'll be starting to wind down for Christmas drinks soon, so couple more weeks and it'll be Christmas time.
Yeah, a couple more weeks and the big fella comes.
Yeah, that's what they say, but anyway, thanks, mate. I'll catch you later.
Alright, see ya.
Well, we've got a few now coming in to the Combox for a chat. We might bring, let's have a look of these people. Danny Trim's probably the first guy we would want to speak to, or Brody Whitmore. Probably Brody. What do you think?
Yeah, let's grab either of those. Brody had a pretty good run up, 23rd to 8th. Let's get him up here and get a bit of a recap from his race and how he saw things with the incidents early on.
Hi Brody, welcome to the RRTV Combox, mate, and looks like race 2 was a pretty good one for you.
Yeah, g'day Bernie. Yeah, it was a good race for me. Just got through the trouble at the first turn and I was sweet.
Yeah, we saw that that first incident. It looked like it claimed about 3/4 of the field. It looks like they were involved in it, but did you manage to, as you said, you got through it? Is that how you gained your 15 positions?
Yeah, I gained I got to 12th on the first lap, and then from there I got to 8th, I think was where I finished. So that's where I got the majority of the positions from.
Fantastic. No, it's a really good start. What was going through your mind when you saw them all starting to come together into turn 1?
I didn't really think anything, to be honest. Just carved my way through it and somehow come out the other side.
Fantastic. And I guess this ends the sprint championship. So are you going to be back in a fortnight to run at Bathurst?
Yeah, I should be, hopefully. I've just been put up to PSS. First race with the boys tonight. I'm pretty happy with it. Fantastic.
So I'm going to hand you over to Daniel. And Daniel, you got any more questions?
No.
No.
No, not a lot. No, I think congratulations. It's a great drive, mate. Up 23rd to 8th. That's awesome. Obviously, you're getting on top of the car pretty comfortably, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing you back out at Bathurst again.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, and congratulations on being moved into PSS. So you're with Middle Finger Racing, is that right? Is that where you were?
Nah, Western Mazda Racing.
Oh, yeah. I get them mixed up. There's so many. But no, that's great. So hopefully we'll see you do some good things out there in the V8 in the coming rounds.
Hopefully.
Fantastic. All right, Brody. Well, before we let you go, you better give a shout out to your sponsors, mate.
Western Mazda, WPC, and yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay. No worries. Well, thanks, mate. And it's 11:35. Almost your bedtime.
Yeah. Cheers, Bernie. Cheers, Daniel.
Bye.
Good one.
So, Daniel, who would you like to talk to next?
Oh, let's get Danny Trim up here now, I reckon.
Yeah, no worries. I'll bring him in.
G'day, Danny. Welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mate. Maybe not the race you were hoping for tonight, but give us your take on it, buddy.
No, the start was horrible. I don't know what the hell happened, but I know I was facing the wrong way and just had the field keep coming at me, and I think I picked up, what was it, 10 incident points from the start.
Oh, jeez. So how close were you to the incidents at the beginning? Were you up around where the first cars got spun, or a little bit further on?
I was first cars. I think one car maybe went onto the grass, clipped another car, which then hit me.
Yeah, it makes it very hard, especially having to wait for everyone to get through. So obviously race 2 a bit of a no-go, but race 1 you guys looking pretty strong up in the start. Maybe drifted back a little more than probably what you wanted.
Yeah, I didn't build a race set. I thought, it's only 20 laps, quality set will do, and it was horrible with the heavy fuel load. It didn't come good to the last 5 laps.
As was just killing the tyres a bit more, or just too much movement in the rear for you?
Yeah, it was just a boat. It was horrid. It was horrible. It was first 2 laps were okay, and then the car just went horrible. Nothing you could do with it. Wait for the fuel load to burn off, and then it came okay again.
Yeah, look, I couldn't think of a worse thing to do, driving a boat around any circuit if it's horrible. But obviously we turn our attention to Bathurst in a fortnight's time. We're lucky to see you and the boys up on the mountain for that one.
Yes, we'll most definitely be there in full force, I think.
Any inside info on the driver lineup yet, or that's going to be a very quiet secret?
No, we will more than likely have Forsen and Marlon together in the car, and then from there on out it'll just be a pairing of times.
Yeah, definitely. Well, mate, unfortunately maybe not the best night tonight, but we'll be hoping for bigger and better things coming up in a fortnight for you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, before we go to Bernie, if you don't have a question, we'll get a quick shout on all the sponsors on board with PSS.
First off, I'd like to give a big shout out to some of the MFR boys who were flown up from Adelaide to Melbourne, and a couple of the West End Mazda guys who were flown down from Queensland and other places. Guys are coming from New Zealand, and we're all catching up tomorrow at GDZ Bar in Melbourne. So I'd like to give a shout out to those boys that are already here and partying on the town at the moment. And then our sponsors, WP Concreting, West End Mazda, GDH iracing Images, Bendigo Motion Performance Exhaust, and MF Race Art.
Thanks very much, mate, and we will definitely catch you again at Bathurst in a fortnight's time.
Yous will. Thanks for the broadcast, guys.
Yep, see you, buddy. They're brave men. I hope they got their floaties.
Put enough beer in, anyone will float.
Yeah,
or kale. Sorry, kale.
Kale, yeah. I'm past the kale now, although I'm thinking kale pizza could be the go.
Oh, God.
It's probably some bloody hippie food out there that has it on it. Anyway, we've got Marlon McMullen down there in the green room. I reckon we should bring him in and congratulate him on his win of the non-endurance championship.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get him in here.
Hi Marlon, welcome to the RRTV Combox, mate. Firstly, congratulations taking out the non-endurance championship tonight.
G'day guys. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've been calculating all the maths, but I think I've just claimed it by about 20 points, and I'm honestly shaking at the moment.
Yeah, well, it was down to 45 at the start of the night, and I think you took out the first race, then it was reversed the second, so I can't really see it moving that much, but yeah, it's pretty close though.
Yeah, I got really nervous because I saw I unfortunately got issued a penalty after Interlagos, so I knew it docked me, I think, 25 points. So I only had 20 points, in front of Dane tonight, and you know, the pressure was really on me. I knew I had to come, you know, first and second, and yeah, like it was just so hard. You know, Dane's such an awesome racer, and I knew tonight was the night that I had to, you know, do something a bit risky. And in that first race, I gave it absolutely everything I had, and you know, he made a couple of mistakes. And the first one I didn't, you know, capitalise on as much because I sort of thought I'd wait for it and see if he makes another one, which is pretty rare. It's pretty, you know, pretty silly. But then he did, and then, you know, my eyes lit up, and then I tried, you know, I move on the outside, and you know, I knew if he hit me, he didn't want to hit me because he'll be the one that ends up with a few penalty points. So, yeah, I knew that, you know, it would be a really good battle towards the end, and you know, I did everything I could to keep him behind me because I think that move was the one that sealed the championship. So that second race, I just sort of paced myself and didn't really want to blow up the engine again like last week.
Yeah, I think that first race definitely was, that move was what sealed it, because up until then Dane was pretty much doing what he needed to do. That was, you know, start from pole, leading the race, and if he had won that race and the second race, I think it might have been a different story. So, yeah, I agree with you there, but it was good racing between you two. Of course, you both cleared out, but as I was saying on the broadcast, that's probably the way you guys would want to battle out a championship, because you've got no spoilers affecting the outcome.
Yeah, most definitely. You want to always try and go out there and win it on merit. You don't want anyone to sort of, you know, get in the way. And I think everyone's really respectful. They understand there's a lot of pressure on us. And, you know, look what happened last week with the real supercars, Paul Scotty. And, you know, Jamie was the underdog, and then all of a sudden he won. So that gave me a little bit of inspiration for this week. I know Dane's one hell of a competitor, so I had to do everything I could tonight to, you know, just capitalise when I could. And yeah, that's the sort of racing that you really love and cherish, and that's how I want to, you know, remember how to win a championship.
Oh, exactly right. And it was really entertaining to watch it again tonight between you two. And of course, you know, I tell you what, Dane was coming at you fast and strong, wasn't he? And I bet you're glad that this was the last round of the sprints, because he's a pretty tough competitor.
Yeah, I mean, we got one more round left at Bathurst, so it's still the overall to determine, and I got a little bit of a points buffer. Well, thanks, actually, with exactly the same, so I got a little bit of a buffer in the overall championship. Just got to make sure we really finish off the race better than what we did last week, falls on the eyes. So things are good, but, you know, things can change around so quick, so you never want to be complacent, and at the end of the day, you just got to go out there, do the best job you can, and, you know, I respect all the competition. I don't want to hit anyone, and hopefully no one has the same, you know, mindset like that.
Yeah, and of course, if you ever want dramas, well, Bathurst Enduro, that brings out the best of dramas for most racing. So no doubt you guys will bring your A game to that in a fortnight, and see off the Supercar Championship for 2017.
Yeah, Forzen's got to have a change of, you know, from his bad luck, so he's doing everything right at the moment. He's bought a few good luck charms, so hopefully things swing around next week.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to just quickly hand you over to Daniel, and if he's got no further questions for you, we'll do the sponsor call out.
Wrong button. No, I've only got the one question for you, mate. Obviously, knowing you got the win, race 1, and doing just what you had to do to get home race 2, did you find it was easier just to sort of back off? Obviously, the times weren't as close in race 2 as we saw in race 1, but did having that win sort of just give you that little bit more freedom you needed in the second round?
I'd tell you that was one of the hardest race starts I've ever done, because I knew I had to walk it off the line perfectly and sort of replicate what I did in race 1, and yeah, it worked. You know, you sort of don't really look in the mirrors. You pray to God that no one's going to come fanging down at, you know, an extra 100 Ks and knock you out, but it worked well, and at the end of the day, you just have to really just sort of cruise. You know, you don't want to drive too slow, because that's when you make more mistakes and can crash. And there was a couple times, you know, where that happened to me. So I knew to myself, look, nerves aside, you're just going to have to focus. It's the longest 18 laps of your life, but at the end of the day, I'm in second. That's all I got to do. So, and that ended up, you know, I think winning the championship. So.
Yeah, well, look, mate, you've done everything you needed to do, and congratulations to yourself and the boys in the team taking the sprint round. That's well, the non-endurance championship. So I mean, that's a hell of a job, and I know Bernie and I look forward to seeing you guys go out and potentially taking the total championship at Bathurst as well. So on that note, before we let you get out of here, should get another plug from all the sponsors with you boys as well.
any better at this, hopefully. Thank you to West End Mazda, as always, WP Concreting, Motion Performance Exhaust, and fantastic imaging company, which I can never remember the name of, but they know who they are. And at the end of the day, all the guys in the team, they knew I was under a lot of pressure this week, and you don't mean to be rude or anything. You just want to be left alone, and you know what you got to do, and they understand that, and they gave me a lot of space and gave me a lot of help, and yeah, it was really good to come through tonight and get that one for the team, and our first shot of it, really. So yeah, I'm really proud.
Yeah, well, congratulations, mate. Enjoy the week off, obviously, with the updates to iracing next week, and we'll look forward to catching up with you boys again at the mountain next fortnight.
Thank you, guys, and appreciate the broadcast and all the work you put in behind the scenes. Thank you.
So, folks, that was Marlon McMullen, tonight's winner of the Australian Non-Endurance Championship for the AOSC. I think we've got time for one more interview. Daniel, and then we'll call it a night. I know we've got a lot of guys waiting to come in, but I don't think we've got enough time to speak to them all. So who would you like to be the final interviewee for this evening?
Look, I don't know. Look, let's get Brennan Bateman up as the last guy. 25th to 11th, got through all the carnage. Let's get a bit of a perspective from his view tonight.
Yeah, and to all the drivers waiting in the green room, sorry we can't get to you tonight, but it's sort of running short of time and it's getting pretty late. So we'll bring Braden Bateman up for the final interview, and Daniel, you can take the interview chair and do what you do best.
G'day, Braden. Welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mate. Congratulations. Good result for yourself tonight. Started 25th for race 2, finished in 11th. Hell of a job.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I messed up at the start. I tried to put a pass on my teammate, and I couldn't see the grass, and I managed to lock it up and loop it around. So I think I fell back to my last, I think it was second last, and then all this stuff happened, and that managed to put me back at about 22nd by the end of first lap, and I just went down to work after that.
Did you manage? Did you get any damage from that early contact, or were you able to get through reasonably okay?
Surprisingly, it wasn't any contact. It was just my mistake. I put the rear on the grass, and yeah, it just looped me straight around, and somehow everyone avoided me. So it's a good heads up by everyone else.
Yeah, and how did you find the circuit tonight and the setup required to get around? Obviously, a little different to what we're traditionally used to with the circuit selection for AOSC. Any big changes you found, or something a bit different?
Very bumpy. Surprisingly, somehow a little bit of a stiff setup on me helped a lot when I went from the soft. I don't know how it happened, but yeah, I managed to get a bit of a stiffer setup going, and it actually helped a lot. So, and yeah, trying to carry the speed through the corners with those bumps on the apexes and stuff. So.
No, look, it's a hell of a circuit. It's a little bit challenging, and to get it through with a more predominantly stiff setup to probably what the majority of guys were doing, even though there was the issues, looks like it seemed to have worked for you. So no, congratulations, mate. That's awesome job.
Cheers, man.
Bernie, have you got any questions for Braden before we let him get out of here?
None at my end. I'm queuing up the AOSC Christmas Carolers, which will be coming on very shortly. So if you want to be part of that, Braden, stick around. It's going to be interesting.
I think if I sing, I'll break everyone's ear bones. So I shouldn't.
Did you have we done the sponsor call out yet?
Nope. I'd like to thank for this whole season and last season and everything that they've done for us. Our sponsors, sorry, WP Concreting and West End Mazda. They've done a lot for us, and yeah, it's not forgettable. And also just my teammates, they helped me out a lot as well. So
fantastic. No, it was a good race tonight, and I think you had to be one of the biggest movers in the second heat, that's for sure.
Cheers, Benny.
Fantastic. All right, mate. Well, we'll see you in a fortnight. Mount Panorama.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to it.
No worries. See you, buddy.
See you, mate.
Okay, well, all these people in the green room want their 2 cents of fame, so I reckon we're going to go down and they're going to sing us a song and then we're going to leave. What do you reckon?
Yep, let's do it. Sounds good.
All right, I'll drag you down first. You can cue them and then I'll be there.
No worries.
So yes, I'll apologise up front, folks, for this, but let's see what they'll do.
Mate, I'm ready to sing, mate.
Oh, excellent. That's what we like to hear, Jordan.
Am I live? Am I live?
No, you don't.
Yes, you are live. Welcome.
G'day, folks.
Okay. What are we singing?
Jingle Bells.
Okay, who's joining you?
I'm a solo artist over here.
I know you're.
No one else has got no. Oh, yeah, putting it in the wall. That's for sure. No one else wants to do it, but I will.
Okay, go for it.
You get a testy. This will be the funniest thing ever.
Hang on. I need the lyrics. I know most of it.
What do you mean the lyrics?
I know the most of it. Hang on. All right.
I'll start you off. Jingle bells. There you go.
Batman smells.
No. All right. I'm not a singer. I try to do some racing.
You said you're a Michael Bublé.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, the hills we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing on a sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey!
Fantastic.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I know I'm not a good singer, but I do my best.
Fantastic. Well, that should bring the Christmas spirit to everyone listening. I don't think we've got any viewers left. No, they've all gone. Funny that.
What? No. It says 16 for me.
Yeah, you got 16.
I know, I'm just stirring you up. Yeah, so guys, we'll do a bulk interview here very quickly before we go off air. One word. Jordan, how was your race? That's a good word.
Disastrous.
Disastrous. James Scott, how was your race? One word.
Not bad.
Not bad. You came home 12th. How many positions?
That's 2 words.
How many words? How many positions did you move up?
I think it was 10.
Oh, that's all right. That's pretty good.
Yeah, a good race. Gained a few positions at the start.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to jump down to Thomas McMillan. Mr. McMillan, how was your race? A couple of words.
Very chaotic.
Okay, well, you caught up in the... you were caught up in the big shenanigans. I think you're one of the biggest losers, weren't you? In that crash?
Yeah, the lights didn't come up for me. I had some sort of PC problem, so... Yeah, couldn't get off the line, and then I got collected, and all hell broke loose.
Yeah, because we saw that you had to go in the pits very early on, and you're way down the end. I thought you must have got caught up in the shenanigans in turn 1, but it doesn't look that way. That's more than 2 words. But anyway, who have we missed? Anyone, Daniel?
Oh, we still got Henry King and Thomas Hinds to give us a final quick word thought.
They should do a song, duet.
Oh, yeah.
No, sorry, Benny.
Oh,
Yeah,
Thomas,
I'm
mate.
not a drummer, not a singer.
Yeah.
Okay, couple of words. Sum up your race, Thomas. Race 2, how did it go?
Yeah, good. Yeah, went turn 1, all good, and just got through, looked behind me, and everyone was gone. So I was like, well, there goes that. And from there, it was just trying to chase down Craig, which I couldn't quite do, but, 4 still good points, and, credit to Craig, you had a really good race.
That was like 10 words, mate.
Well, for Thomas, that's 2. Okay.
Yeah, it is, trust me, it is.
Okay, Henry, to wrap up your race, how was that second one? I know you were keen to have a better run, but it looked like quali didn't quite go your way tonight.
No, quali was bad. Missed a shift off the start. Good comeback again, though.
So where did you come in that race? 18th?
17th.
Okay.
So both races I went down 3 spots, but passed a lot of people to do it.
Okay, fantastic. And you're not a singer, you're a drummer, did you say?
Correct.
Okay, well, we might have to bash out a drumming tune next time you come up. We'll hold you to that one.
Yeah, maybe not.
No worries, guys. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, and thanks for that impromptu performance, Jordan.
You're very welcome, Bernie, and I hope I didn't make the viewers' ears bleed, but it was definitely a good giggle.
Yeah, that's what it's like for Christmas, isn't it? And Daniel Leite's going to sing a song just before we leave tonight, aren't you, Daniel?
No.
I'll join you, Daniel.
No.
No, look, I was on the floor rolling around laughing at that, mate. That was awesome. Thanks for doing that. I think on a Christmas caroling finish to a wonderful non-endurance championship, that takes the prize right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yep, fantastic. Well, Daniel, we're going to jump back up in the comm box now and finish off the broadcast. Thanks, guys. Have a good Christmas. Well, we'll catch up with you in a fortnight anyway. Then we'll wish you a good Christmas.
That's good. Thanks, Benny.
You too, Benny.
See, the good thing about visiting them outside the comm box is we don't have to kick them out. We just lock the door when we come back in.
Yes, no, that was very exciting. Thanks to Jordan for putting on that song. That was the best laugh I've had in a while.
Yeah, that's right. I think we're going to have to insist on that now. We're coming into Christmas, that if they want an interview, they've got to sing a song. But anyway, folks, getting back to the serious end of the night, if there is one, this weekend on RRTV, Sunday night, we've got the Australasian Super Skips for another round. And if you haven't seen them, come and have a look, because the wheel-to-wheel action is absolutely awesome. Then, of course, the final round of the Skip Barber Monday Night Lights will be run on Monday, of course, and that will be the last we will see of them for 2017. They will be back, however, on 2018 after all the Christmas shenanigans are done. Then, of course, next Thursday night, come and join us for some fun between the Australian Speedway boys versus the NASCAR boys. They're going to take to Eldora on the dirt in NASCAR trucks, and they've got the top 12 drivers from each of those series to represent their team. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, definitely. Still a lot of stuff coming up. Obviously, we've also got the iRacing Week 13 challenge and new series updates coming out as well. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Should be something in there probably for everyone as well, no doubt. And then we get ready in a fortnight's time to wrap up the AOSC Championship brought on by Nick Heusler and the guys at Stealth Sim Sports and Pagnium, who are also putting up that amazing prize in the F1/GT sim rig at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's right, and one lucky entrant will get to see that under their Christmas tree just in time, and I'll tell you what, it looks like a really good setup. And although I think if I got in that thing, I probably wouldn't be able to get out of it again, but I'm sure someone more agile could put that to good use.
Yeah, look, it looks like an amazing bit of kit, quite comfortable. I'm sure whoever gets it will have a lot of fun, especially with the enduro format. It looks like you're not going to be too fatigued. Put an esky next to it, and you should be pretty well set.
Exactly it. But anyway, folks, that brings us to the end of our coverage. Daniel, thanks, mate, once again for coming up and calling the shots with me tonight. It's always a pleasure having you up here.
Yeah, look, thanks for having me up here. Obviously, had a little bit of issue with some system glitches a couple of times through the broadcast, but look, the guys put on a great show, and hopefully the viewers out there enjoyed it, and the impromptu Christmas carols from Jordan McDonald at the end of the night.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, folks, thank you for joining us. Have a safe weekend. If you're watching from Melbourne or the eastern coast, stay safe, stay dry this weekend. It's going to be an interesting one, and we look forward to your company again very soon here on RRTV. Good night.